My name is Rain, and I'd been serving coffee at Millie's Diner for 3 years when I met Harold Thompson. He was 78 years old, walked with a cane, and ordered the same thing every morning, 2 eggs over easy, wheat toast, and black coffee. "Good morning, Mr. Thompson," I said that first day, setting down his coffee. "How are you today?" "Better now that I'm here, young lady," he replied with a warm smile. "And please call me Harold. Mr. Thompson was my father." "All right, Harold, I'm Rain." "That's a beautiful name," he said. "Unique. Your parents must have had high hopes for you." I laughed. "My mom always said I'd rule my own kingdom someday. Right now that kingdom is this diner section." "Every kingdom starts somewhere," Harold said. That conversation started our friendship. Every morning at 7 sharp, Harold would shuffle in, sit at booth 12, and we'd talk. Not just pleasantries, real conversations. He told me about his late wife Margaret, his career as a civil engineer, his love of old movies. I told him about my classes at community college, my dream of becoming a social worker, my struggles with tuition. One morning, about 6 months into our routine, Harold looked serious. "Rain, can I ask you something personal?" he said. "Of course, Harold. What's on your mind?" "Do you trust me?" he asked. "Absolutely," I replied without hesitation. "Why?" "Because I need your help with something," he said quietly. "Something important. But I need to know you'll keep it between us for now." I sat down across from him. "Harold, you're scaring me. Is everything okay?" "Not exactly," he said. "My son Brandon has been stealing from me. Large amounts. He's also trying to get me declared mentally incompetent so he can take control of my estate." "What? That's terrible. Have you gone to the police?" "Not yet," Harold said. "I need proof first. Real, undeniable proof. That's where you come in." "How can I help?" I asked. "I need someone Brandon doesn't know, someone he'd never suspect," Harold explained. "Someone to witness our interactions, maybe record them if necessary. Brandon comes by my house every week demanding money. He threatens me, manipulates me. But he's careful around people he respects, which doesn't include service workers, unfortunately." "I'll do whatever you need," I said immediately. Harold reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "Thank you, Rain. You're a good person." "When do we start?" I asked. "Soon," Harold said. "Very soon." 2 weeks later, Harold called me. "He's coming to the diner tomorrow morning at 8. Can you work that shift?" "I'm already scheduled," I confirmed. "I'll be ready." The next morning, I was refilling Harold's coffee when a man in an expensive suit walked in. He was about 50, with graying hair and a permanent scowl. "Dad," he said coldly, sliding into the booth. "We need to talk." "Brandon," Harold said calmly. "What brings you here?" Brandon glanced at me dismissively. "Coffee. Black. And make it quick." "Right away, sir," I said politely, heading to the counter. When I returned with his coffee, Brandon was already arguing with Harold. "I need another 20,000, Brandon was saying. "The investment opportunity closes Friday." "I gave you 15,000 last month," Harold replied. "What happened to that?" "That's none of your business," Brandon snapped. "You're losing it, old man. Can't even remember what day it is half the time." I set down the coffee and asked, "Can I get you gentlemen anything to eat?" Brandon looked at me like I was an insect. "Do I look like I eat at places like this? Just keep the coffee coming and stay out of adult conversations." "Brandon, that's incredibly rude," Harold said firmly. "What, you dating the help now?" Brandon laughed. "Jesus, Dad, you really are losing it." My face burned, but I kept my composure. "I'll give you some privacy." As I walked away, I heard Brandon continue. "Sign the papers, Dad, the nursing home papers. It's for your own good." "I'm not signing anything," Harold said quietly. "Then I'll have you declared incompetent," Brandon hissed. "I've already talked to Dr. Morrison. He agrees you're not capable of managing your affairs." I nearly dropped my coffee pot. Dr. Morrison was Harold's physician and apparently in on the scheme. That evening, Harold came to my apartment as planned. "Did you get it?" he asked. I pulled out my phone. "Every word. The recording is crystal clear." Harold smiled grimly. "Perfect. Now we need more. Brandon's been forging my signature on documents, draining my investment accounts, but I need proof of the bigger picture." "What's the bigger picture?" I asked. "My estate is worth $8 million, Harold said. "Brandon knows that. His business failed 2 years ago, and he's been living off me ever since. But he's not just asking for money. He's stealing it systematically." "How do we prove that?" I asked. "I've hired a lawyer, Patricia Chen," Harold explained. "She's excellent, but she needs documentation, witnesses, and leverage. That's where you come in again." Over the next 3 weeks, I witnessed 4 more confrontations between Harold and Brandon. Each time, Brandon's true nature showed more clearly. One morning, Brandon grabbed Harold's wrist hard enough to leave a bruise. "Sign the power of attorney," Brandon demanded, "or I'll make your life hell." "You already are," Harold said calmly, though I could see he was shaken. I intervened. "Excuse me, is everything all right?" Brandon released Harold's wrist and glared at me. "Mind your own business, waitress. My father and I are having a private discussion." "This is a public diner," I said firmly, "and I won't have customers harassed." "Harassed?" Brandon laughed. "You have no idea what you're talking about. This man is senile. He needs professional care." "He seems perfectly clear to me," I said. "Of course he does," Brandon sneered. "Because you're just a diner waitress with what? A high school education? You're not qualified to assess his mental state." Harold stood up shakily. "I think we're done here, Brandon." "We're not done until you sign," Brandon said. Harold turned to me. "Rain, would you call someone for me? Patricia Chen. Her number is in my phone." Brandon's face went white. "A lawyer? You called a lawyer?" "Actually," said a woman's voice behind us, "I'm already here." We all turned to see an elegant woman in her 40s holding a briefcase. "Patricia Chen," she introduced herself, handing Brandon her card. "I represent Mr. Harold Thompson, and you must be Brandon Thompson." "This is outrageous," Brandon sputtered. "Dad, what have you done?" "Exactly what I should have done months ago," Harold said. "Protected myself from you." Patricia sat down and opened her briefcase. "Mr. Brandon Thompson, I have documentation here showing systematic financial abuse of your father, unauthorized withdrawals totaling over $200,000, forged signatures on multiple documents, and now witnessed physical assault." "Physical assault? That's ridiculous," Brandon protested. "I saw you grab his wrist," I said. "Hard enough to bruise him." Patricia smiled. "Thank you, Miss Rain. Just Rain." "Thank you, Rain. Your testimony will be valuable." She turned back to Brandon. "I've also been in contact with the district attorney's office. They're very interested in your activities." "You can't prove anything," Brandon said, but his voice wavered. "Actually," Harold said quietly, "we can. Every conversation we've had in the past month has been recorded. Every withdrawal you've made is documented. Every forged signature has been analyzed, and Rain here has witnessed your threats and violence." Brandon's face went from white to red. "You set me up? You used this waitress to spy on me?" "I used a friend," Harold corrected, "to protect myself from my son." Brandon stood abruptly. "This is entrapment. It won't hold up in court." "It's not entrapment when you're genuinely committing crimes," Patricia said calmly. "But we're willing to discuss this civilly. Sit down, Mr. Thompson." "Don't tell me what to do," Brandon snarled, but he sat. "Here's what's going to happen," Patricia continued. "You're going to return every penny you've stolen from your father. You're going to sign a confession, and you're going to agree to never contact Harold again except through legal channels." "And if I don't?" Brandon challenged. "Then I make one phone call, and Detective Sarah Martinez arrives with handcuffs," Patricia said. "She's actually waiting outside right now, just in case. Elder abuse is a serious felony, Mr. Thompson, especially when combined with fraud, forgery, and theft." Brandon's hands trembled. "Dad, please, I'm your son, your only child. You can't do this to me." "You did this to yourself," Harold said sadly, "when you started seeing me as a wallet instead of your father." "I was desperate," Brandon pleaded. "My business failed, my wife left me, I lost everything." "So you decided to take everything from me?" Harold asked, "including my dignity, my independence?" "I just needed help," Brandon said, tears forming. "I didn't know what else to do." "You could have asked honestly," Harold said. "I would have helped you, but you chose to lie, steal, and manipulate instead." "Mr. Thompson," Patricia interjected, "we need a decision. Cooperate or face prosecution. You have 60 seconds. Brandon looked around desperately, at his father, at Patricia, at me. "This is because of her, isn't it?" he said, pointing at me. "This gold-digging waitress turned you against your own son." "Rain has been nothing but kind to me," Harold said firmly, "which is more than I can say for you." "She's using you!" Brandon shouted. "Can't you see that? She wants your money." "Rain doesn't want my money," Harold said. "She's helped me out of pure kindness. But you've made it clear what you want and what you're willing to do to get it." 30 seconds, Patricia warned. "Fine," Brandon exploded. "I'll pay it back. I'll sign whatever you want. But I want it on record that I was coerced." "You weren't coerced," Patricia said. You were caught. There's a difference. Detective Martinez, please come in. A woman in her 30s walked in, badge displayed. Detective Sarah Martinez, Elder Abuse Division. Mr. Brandon Thompson? Yes, Brandon said miserably. I'm here to witness your confession and arrest you if necessary, Detective Martinez said. Miss Chen, proceed. Patricia pulled out documents. First, a full accounting of stolen funds and forged documents. Sign here, here, and here. Brandon signed with shaking hands. Second, a confession to elder abuse, fraud, and theft. Sign here. Brandon hesitated. If I sign this, I'm admitting to felonies. You've already committed felonies, Detective Martinez said. Signing gives you a chance at a plea deal instead of going to trial. Brandon signed. Third, a restraining order, Patricia said. You will not contact Harold except through legal representation. You will not come within 500 feet of him. Violation results in immediate arrest. My own father needs a restraining order against me? Brandon said bitterly. Yes, Harold said simply. You've proven I do. Brandon signed the final document and stood. I hope you're happy, Dad. You've destroyed your only family. You destroyed this family when you chose greed over love, Harold replied. Detective Martinez stepped forward. Mr. Thompson, I'm placing you under arrest for elder abuse and fraud. You have the right to remain silent. As she read him his Miranda rights, Brandon stared at me with pure hatred. This is your fault. No, I said quietly. This is your fault. You did this to yourself. The trial took 6 months. Brandon's lawyer tried everything, claiming Harold was mentally incompetent, arguing I was manipulating Harold, suggesting the recordings were edited. None of it worked. The prosecution presented overwhelming evidence: bank records showing systematic theft, forged signatures verified by handwriting experts, recordings of Brandon's threats and manipulation, my testimony about the physical assault, and Dr. Morrison's confession that Brandon had paid him to falsify reports about Harold's mental state. The jury deliberated for 3 hours. On the count of elder abuse, how do you find? The judge asked. Guilty, the jury foreman said. On the count of fraud? Guilty. On the count of theft? Guilty. Brandon showed no emotion as the verdicts were read. His face was blank, defeated. The judge sentenced him to 8 years in prison and ordered him to pay full restitution plus damages, nearly $400,000 total. Dr. Morrison lost his medical license and received 3 years for his role in the scheme. After the sentencing, Harold and I sat on a bench outside the courthouse. How are you feeling? I asked. Sad, Harold admitted, but also relieved and grateful. Without you, Rain, I'd be in a nursing home right now, drugged up and helpless while Brandon drained my accounts. You would have figured it out eventually, I said. Maybe not, Harold said. He almost convinced me I was losing my mind, but you saw me clearly. You treated me with respect and dignity. That gave me the strength to fight back. I'm glad I could help, I said. Harold pulled an envelope from his pocket. This is for you. Harold, no, I protested. Open it, he insisted. Inside was a check for $50,000 and a letter. Harold, I can't accept this, I said, my eyes filling with tears. It's not charity, Harold said. It's payment for services rendered as my witness and investigator. But more than that, it's a thank you from a grateful old man who was reminded that good people still exist. This is too much, I whispered. It's not nearly enough, Harold said, but it'll pay for your college, won't it? Help you become that social worker you've been dreaming about? I hugged him, crying. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Rain, Harold said. You saved my life. 3 years have passed since then. I graduated with my social work degree last month, top of my class. Harold attended the ceremony, beaming with pride. I now work in elder advocacy, helping seniors who face abuse from family members. Harold still comes to Millie's Diner every morning at 7 sharp. We still talk about everything and nothing. He's become the grandfather I never had. Brandon remains in prison. He's written Harold several letters asking for forgiveness and financial help for his legal fees. Harold hasn't responded to any of them. Some betrayals, we've both agreed, don't deserve forgiveness. Every time I help a senior recognize and escape abuse, I think about Harold's courage to stand up to his own son. That first recording I made in the diner changed both our lives. Him by saving him from financial and emotional destruction, me by showing me the impact one person's kindness can have. Have you ever witnessed someone being mistreated by their own family? Would you have had the courage to step in and help like Harold did by trusting a stranger? Like and subscribe for more stories about people who refused to be victims and fought back the right way.